During our diving feature, we're going to be talking to two gentlemen who are two of three partners in Points West Diving Limited in North Vancouver, and they teach divers how to enjoy the beautiful marine life we have in the BC coastal waters, which many people consider to be the most beautiful and most spectacular diving area in the entire world. Joining me here is Denny Sawyer and Peter Meyer, and Peter will be showing us from the water aspect exactly what the divers have to go through to become a diver. Denny, of course, will give us the commentary while that is going on. But Peter, why don't you tell us exactly what you're going to show us and what you're going to teach the divers today?
Well, what we're going to be doing is basically reviewing all of the skills and techniques that the people have learned during their basic program before going into open water. We'll be doing some regulator clearing, which is the breathing apparatus, mask clearing so that you can see again, emergency procedures, moving up towards the surface and coming back down again, sharing air or buddy breathing, and just going over all of the skills that they've learned prior to going into open water, where they do the final amount of their dives.
You'd call this course the beginner course or the basic course. How many sessions are there, and what session would this be equivalent to?
In the basic program itself, there are 5 pool sessions like the one we're going to do now. This would be the 5th, where they'd review all of their skills so far, as I said before, and then we'd go into open water and do 6 ocean dives as well, so they would actually be divers when they finish the program.
When they follow this session here, will they have to write some kind of a test?
There is a written exam, yeah, and necessary 75% before you pass the program itself. The open water evaluation is continual, so there's no water test as such, just that they prove their skills in open water.
Peter Meyer will let you get all set to take your dive and take your divers down there, and we'll talk to Denny a little bit about the sport of scuba diving. How many scuba divers are there in British Columbia, and how popular a sport is it?
Scuba diving is becoming more and more popular in relationship to other sports in BC. There are about 20,000 certified divers in British Columbia now. A lot of them very active divers, some of them not so active. So that more and more we're getting people out year-round scuba diving in British Columbia.
You're a marine biologist, having gone to UBC and taken marine biology, and I'm sure that is probably what got you interested in diving, and Peter Meyer as well.
Yes, most definitely. The marine biology really adds to it in that you understand fully what you're seeing underwater. BC has a tremendous diversity of marine life, and it's really an exceptional area to dive in. The marine life here is second to none in the world. It really is incredible.
What about other aspects of diving? Are there any other reasons why, say, these people would want to get into diving?
Oh yes, most definitely. It's a very social sport. A lot of good times on weekends. We go away for a weekend. For instance, last weekend we were on Gabriola Island, and we did some very nice diving in the Gabriola Passage area and other spots on Gabriola Island. And we had a good time staying at Surf Lodge as well.
Denny, let's go down and take a look at the divers.
Okay.
Denny, what's Peter going to show us here?
Peter's showing the basic procedure for getting all his equipment ready to put on, and he's going to put it on and show us the 3 different entries that we use for getting into the water. He's just cleaned out the valve a little bit to make sure there's no dirt or water in it, removed the protection cap from his regulator, and now he's putting the regulator in place on the tank valve. It's an O-ring seal, so he just has to tighten it hand tight. He then turns the air on and checks the pressure in his pressure gauge to make sure that he does have a full tank of air.
How much does a full tank of air weigh?
The tank weighs about 40 pounds when it's full. The air inside the tank actually weighs 5 pounds. It's compressed to such a high state that there is 5 pounds of air. Peter's getting his buddy Nancy here to help him get into his tank.
Right now he's got a vest on. Before he put the tank on, what's that vest?
We call that a buoyancy compensator. It's an invaluable tool to a diver in the water. It aids the diver to rest on the surface. It allows the diver to remain neutrally buoyant at any depth that they go to. And it allows him to use less air while he's diving, because he's never working to kick his way up at all. He's never fighting the water. He's always perfectly neutral in the water, and he is very able to relax.
The yellow belt?
The yellow belt is a weight belt to offset the buoyancy of his suit that he has on. This is a pool suit, because even though the pool is fairly warm, he gets cold in it. It draws the heat away from his body, and he gets fairly cold if he's in for a long time. Now, to make sure he's not going to fall over or anything, he's getting Nancy to help him again. We work on the buddy system a lot in diving. We never dive alone, always with a buddy.
It's nicer to have a girl, I think, as a buddy than a guy.
For sure, that's for sure. That's definitely true, which is why we're encouraging more and more women to get into the sport. He's just defogged his mask by putting a bit of saliva on the lens and then rinsing it out. He's now adjusting the split strap to get it in place on his face. Picking up his main regulator, and he's ready to do his first entry now, which is the stride entry, holding the mask on and his reg in his mouth, taking one giant step out and just closing his legs underwater. He's now giving us the OK sign for on the surface. This sign is visible from a long way off, and it indicates to us or to anyone on the shore or on a boat that he is okay. He has made his entry and that he is in the water and everything is okay with him. He's now just climbing out of the water, getting ready to do the second entry.
Denny, it looks as though Peter has two mouthpieces.
Yes, one of them is a backup system. He is an instructor, and if a student ever had trouble, Peter would be able to give them one of his regulators. He's checked behind him. He's now doing a back roll entry. This entry is very good for off of a small boat where you can't stand up and jump off the boat at all. It does a back roll entry so it doesn't bother the boat at all. It leaves it stationary in the water. And again, the OK signal to show us that he is okay. Now, this last entry that he's going to do, we call a front roll. It's very good that the cameras are here because it always looks very good in front of the camera. It's the most exciting entry to do. He's crouching way down, and he's just going to bounce over now and onto his shoulders. And it's kind of an interesting entry to do.
When would he use that one under real circumstances?
Well, it's difficult to say when you would use that entry. It's a good training entry, and it builds people's confidence in the pool. And you could use it if you were leaving off of a fixed platform and you knew that there were no, you made sure that there were no objects or anything in the water that you could hurt yourself on. It could be used off of a dock or off of a large boat, this type of thing.
Okay, Denny, you have some slides for us. Why don't we take a look at a few of them here?
Okay, this is just to show some of the people who have never been underwater in our waters a little bit about what they might see there. This first shot is a shot of me with my camera. It's a single lens reflex camera in a housing, and you notice I have a very large strobe to give us proper color underwater. The second slide is a picture of a diver with a wolf eel. The wolf eel is not really a true eel, it's a very large fish, and it's very tame, normally very shy animal, so the diver is able to play with it like this. The next slide is a diver with a basket starfish, and this is one of the prettiest types of marine life, I think, in our waters, found in a very high current area such as Porlier Pass in our Gulf Islands. The next shot is of a serpent star, one of the more peculiar types of starfish that we would find in our waters. Lots of different variety of starfish in our waters. The next shot is of the octopus, who has gotten a very bad reputation from Jules Verne and friends of his. This octopus is the largest octopus in the world, and it is the shyest animal that you can find. Normally found hiding in caves and not really too interested in mixing with divers, but we managed to coax this one out so we could take a picture of him. This next shot is a very close-up shot of a red Irish lord, which is one of the oddest fish that we see underwater. Very dumb. You can really cruise up to these fish and actually push them before they'll go anywhere. The next shot is a copper-banded rockfish, one of our more colorful rockfish. This shot again taken in the Gulf Islands, just off the coast of British Columbia. Next shot is of the lingcod, one of our favorite eating fish for this area. Actually, this lingcod was our dinner after I took his picture. This shot is just down south of us in the waters off of Washington State, and it's a perch swimming in through a bunch of giant white plumose anemones. This next shot is the orange peel nudibranch. A nudibranch, some people call them a sea slug, but you can see from this shot that they really are a beautiful animal, and we have a tremendous diversity of nudibranchs in our waters. They're really an interesting type of marine life. And the last shot is of a giant plumose anemone, a very large orange plumose anemone, and this is found up at Bedwell Bay, just in Indian Arm, in our local waters.
We're going to find out from Denny, for those of you that have never taken up diving, never been involved in diving, how to get into it and how much does it cost. Denny?
It's really easy for you to get into diving. All you have to do is come down and talk to us at Points West Diving. We're on the North Shore, and we're in the phone book, or you can see our signs around town. We register you for a program, and it takes you about 3.5 weeks to take your basic diving course, and the basic course costs $120 for the complete program.
Denny Sawyer, I'd like to thank you and also your partner Peter Meyer for showing us the underwater techniques, and I'd like to thank you from Points West Diving Limited. I'm Richard Saxton for Sports Page.